The shooter is in custody and being interrogated at this time.
The suspected shooter has been identified as 38-year-old Jared Ramos, who may have had a long-running feud with the paper, having sued the paper in 2012 after it reported that he pled guilty to criminal harassment. The newspaper won the case, reporting on what was already public record.
Mass shooters are what typically are called revenge collectors. In other words, their revenge builds up, and it can be as simple as an editorial that might have been written, or a lawsuit they have lost. The triggering mechanisms for violence tend to be, in these types of cases, tend to be they build up over a period of weeks or even months and possibly years.
A week ago we practiced an active shooter training thing. We did not expect something like this to happen in our community, but
the sort of general level of animosity against the media, and secondarily maybe even law enforcement in recent years, is very troubling to me, because people who are on the edge of doing something will use the discontent of others to sort of motivate and sort of rationalize their act of attack.
The president tweeting with the familiar, "My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. Thank you to all of the first responders who are currently on the scene." So the early reports right now are that perhaps this was very targeted to this specific paper.
Exactly. And again, the police described this as a classic hometown paper, one that they do business with all the time to get information out to the community.
Hours ago, the paper's editor, Jimmy DeButz, with a series of defiant tweets about the heart of the humble newspaper. Devastated and heartbroken, numb. The reporters and editors put their all into finding the truth. That is our mission, will always be. And tomorrow, there will be a print edition. For Nightline, I'm Gio Benitez in Annapolis, Maryland.
Well, I don't think of love as, in this context, as emotional bosh. I don't think of it as a weak force, but I think of love as something strong and that organizes itself into powerful direct action. This is what I try to teach in the struggle in the South, that we are not engaged in a struggle that means we sit down and do nothing. That there's a great deal of difference between non-resistance to evil and non-violent resistance. Non-resistance leaves you in a state of stagnant passivity and deadened complacency, wherein non-violent resistance means that you do resist in a very strong and determined manner. Well, I don't think that's true. If anyone has ever lived with a non-violent movement in the South, from Montgomery on through the Freedom Rides and through the sit-in movement and the recent Birmingham movement, and see the reactions of many of the extremists and reactionaries in the white community, he wouldn't say that this movement makes, or this philosophy makes them comfortable. I think it arouses a sense of shame within them often, in many instances. I think it does something to touch the conscience and establish a sense of guilt. Now, so often people respond to guilt by engaging more in the guilt-evoking act in an attempt to drown the sense of guilt. But this approach certainly doesn't make the white man feel comfortable. I think it does the other thing. It disturbs this conscience, and it disturbs this sense of contentment that he's...
Hey, good morning. This is a message for the unhinged cocksucker, Rick Reinerson. If he's there, you can have him give me a call at the number here. Thanks.
Hey, is that asshole Rick there still? You should call me back instead of hiding behind a fucking computer like a goddamn pussy. But yeah, I don't expect that you will, but you should call me back. I'll talk to you. But you won't do it, pussy.
Still just a little punk ass, weren't you? So you just can't stop, and that's going to get you into trouble. But you go ahead, little boy there, and try to figure out what's going to try to make people angry at you, right? But you're just a fucking punk ass pussy who doesn't have the balls to fucking meet somebody in person or even talk to them correctly because he blocks everybody. So, take your little shitty ass get the fuck away from us. Get the fuck away from me, because if you ever run into me, it's not going to be fun, dude. Aw, poor Rick. He's so scared he can't answer the phone. He's such a little bitch. Oh, Muffin. So sad. Anyway, you're fucked. Suck my cock. Jackass. Thoughts and prayers, motherfucker. You started this shit. I'll definitely be the one to end it. You don't have the fucking guts to come and talk to somebody on the phone. Fuck you. Like, you can't even handle the concept of an equal dialogue unless you have everything blocked so you can fucking navigate your way through putting out your propaganda. So again, I tell you, suck on my cock and hope you don't run into me, motherfucker. Fucking asshole.
The newspaper won the case, reporting on what was already public record.
Mass shooters are what typically are called revenge collectors. In other words, their revenge builds up. And it can be as simple as an editorial that might have been written or a lawsuit that they have lost. The triggering mechanisms for violence tend to be, in these types of cases, tend to be they build up over a period of weeks or even months and possibly years. The sort of general level of animosity against the media, and secondarily maybe even law enforcement in recent years, is very troubling to me, because people who are on the edge of doing something will use the discontent of others to sort of motivate and sort of rationalize their act of